Every unit has disagreements, even in a program that's guided by the Scout law. How we handle those disagreements is important, and we need to do it the right way. Hey, ScouterStan, let's talk about this. Every single unit, all of them, every pack, troop, crew, ship, all of them, even explorers, okay? All of them have disagreements. And how we handle that is super critical, because as adult leaders, we need to be able to handle any kind of conflict management. This is so critical to what we do in scouting. So today we're going to talk about a lot of the different realities to that. If you've been in scouting for some time, you know that there are some personalities. They may not work with you. There's certain people that just, it's very hard to live by the Scout law, and being friendly, courteous, and kind is a challenge. So knowing that up front is setting you up for a much better result in any kind of conflict. Parenting skills can also be brought into this. A lot of parents are they've timed out every minute of the day for their scout, for their youth, their child. They've actually planned it all out, school and activities and lunch dates and all that. I mean, they've got it planned right down to the 5 minutes before they go to sleep. There's some parents like that. They can't let go. We'll talk about it. But that's a personality thing that comes into play in conflict management. Now, on the other end, you have parents that are almost laissez-faire. They don't, as it goes, they don't really plan anything. It just happens. That can be annoying too. So there's that dynamics that we need to think about. Now, everyone involved in a unit have different expectations of what's to go on, how scouting works, how the whole process of managing youth is done by youth in a troop. That's a foreign concept to a lot of people. So a lot of conflicts can come from that. How that works, the different dynamics between backstage, like committee, and scout facing, when you're dealing with the youth directly and mentoring them and helping them. These are things that occur, and there can be a lot of different problems, and we need to talk about it. Now, one of the big things in it is communications. Communications is so critical. Every day, in every way, you need to be thinking about communicating to others and how that comes through. So I did an entire series. It's a 2-part series, but it's long. Definitely check out the first part. It talks a little bit about communicating, whether it be body language or how you come across. There's some people that watch these videos and that's one and done. They never come back. There are lots of people who watch them almost every single week. That's great, because I feel that I'm communicating as best I can. I'm an old country boy when you get down to it. I know I am, and I use a lot of analogies and a lot of things that many people may not understand, but I'm doing the best I can in communications, and that's the key to it all. If you can communicate, you can do anything. Now, the most common source of conflict within a unit, there's 4 different groups: adult and adult. A lot of times you have a committee that's doing things that the Scoutmaster may not want or need. There's that conflict, okay, and that has to be recognized. That can come up. Even though both of the Scout leaders in this situation are equally trained, different points of view. So you have different styles of leadership. And that's where conflict can occur. Advancement expectations. Now, that could be as simple as a parent not seeing the advancement happening immediately or being delayed in some way. There could be some argument there. It's a matter of communications. That's something that needs to be recognized. Now, that's true with parent and leader. So keeping that in mind, there are some things that they do that are a little different, such as the parent pushing advancement. Advancement is one of those important things. It's one of the methods of scouting. And that's one of the things that we want to make sure happens so that they can kind of achieve. But that can be very frustrating if you have a parent that is really pushing that along. And the scout is not doing what they need to do. So there could be some conflict there. Some parents are overly concerned about safety, about different things that go on within a troop. So it's important that that is addressed. Parents might be asking, why aren't my youth, my kids, getting those opportunities for leadership? Why are they not happening? That could be a huge conflict. Another level for disagreement could be youth and youth. Sometimes a patrol has issues and can't get along. Now, in that case, it's not they can't get along, it's they don't want to get along because of communications. That's the key. And from that, you have authority issues. The patrol leader makes a statement about how they want the tents and they don't want to do it. There's a lot of conflict that could come from that. And from that, you also have youth that have personality conflicts. They just bump heads. They don't get along. And the last one is really where the youth and adults, the adult leaders, have issues. One of the big ones that youth really pick up on is that the adults solve issues too quickly. That's a problem. And there's levels there where it's not good, especially for the youth. They need that opportunity and it's taken away. And then the youth have the feeling that they're micromanaged. And that's not where you want to be. And that can create a lot of problems, a lot of difficulties. Now, with all four of those, the rule number one, don't try to solve everything immediately. First, take a moment just to take a breath. It will make everything so much better, especially if it's a situation not dealing with safety or safeguarding youth or any of that stuff. If you could take a breath, a pause, that's important. That alone will clear your mind for the very next step. And this is critical. After you've taken that breath, that break, listen. There's a big difference between listening and hearing. You want to hear all those words in your mind. That issue needs to be addressed. You need to pick up on that communications. That's the so important, is to really listen to it. Try to filter out any of the stuff that gives you an emotional response. Filter that out. Think hard about what is actually being spoken and receive it by listening. Critical skill. And the next big thing is to restate all of that. That's active listening. That's the big thing. You're restating exactly what they say, skipping out any emotional parts. You could take those out because that just that just escalates everything. But taking a breath, listening, and then restating what they said, that is so critical to being understood. They get the message that they've actually said something that you heard. That's the critical part. So on that conflict type of thing, that's the important part. Try to filter out any emotional triggers that might be in there. Try to filter that out. Try to put that aside, okay? It might be just emotional issue that they're having. Now, when you're dealing with that conflict, if this is in the middle of a youth meeting, you need to say to the individual, let's put a pause on it, and we'll talk about it after the meeting. That's your big pause. That's your big breath, okay, just gotta do that. The last thing you want to do is have an argument or a disagreement in front of the youth, especially if it's with parents or adults or adult leaders or any of that stuff. You're an example, so put a pause on it. That's the best thing to do. Using the Scout law as your standard is critical in any conflict resolution, especially within your troop, pack, crew, ship, regardless. It's important to always think about things like, how can I be courteous to this person having an issue? That's part of the Scout law. How do we, as Scout leaders, handle this in a friendly way? Scout leaders asking themselves, how can I be kind in a manner that would resolve the issue? And this goes the other way. If you have a youth that is having a conflict, make sure that you ask them the same type of questions related back to the Scout law. What parts of the Scout law did not get looked at? Ask them that. That might be a big question. The Scout law covers just about every conflict resolution. Hey, before we go any further, I want to personally invite you to come to the Campfire Chat. We have this on the very first Sunday of each month, starting at 9 p.m. I also want to personally thank all of the supporters on Patreon. This is a great way to help out on what we do here. Also, I want to get you involved in the channel. You can join the channel by hitting the join button on any of the screens that you see. This will help you get more information about what is going on in our membership of our channel, and it's a great way to help us out. Definitely check out the big list here for your name. Youth leaders should solve youth problems and issues. When youth commonly go to the Scoutmaster or any of the Scout-facing team, they always say, talk to your patrol leader. That moves down. If it's a patrol leader coming to you with this, you go, talk to your senior patrol leader. That is the common thing. You want to defer those issues, those questions, those problems should be referred back to the youth leadership where they have an opportunity to say something about it or do something about it. Empowering youth to take control of any type of situation, anything. Empowering them is critical in the scouting process and program to learn management. There's a video right up there, talks a little bit more about empowering youth, so definitely check that out. Regardless, youth should take care of youth problems, issues, and any kind of conflicts. They should be involved in that. The adult leadership, the scout-facing leadership, should be there to coach and mentor the leadership, and not to become the referee or the person who judges the outcome of that. Let them do that. Let them have those opportunities. Let them handle it in the appropriate way. Know when to step in. And this is huge. A lot of adult leaders need to be reminded all the time that there's things that they're responsible to do. Step in immediately. The number one thing that we are all about, and that is safety. Safety is job one of all scouting leaders. Scout facing, behind the stage, all of it. They all have safety as the key. And at that point, that's the only time that should really be the adults working with the youth, making sure that they are safe. Adults need to step up if there's any kind of fighting or bullying going on. That needs to be handled by the trained staff, known as the scout-facing leaders, have gone through safeguarding youth, and they know what to do and how to handle that situation. Really critical that safety is the job of the adults. Everything else can be handled by the youth, but safety is critical. Now, there are instances where safety can be an issue. That's true. But there's other ones like continuous disrespectfulness to youth leaders, to others within their patrol, with even adults. So this needs to be addressed from the adult level, because this can be an underlying issue of something else. So the trained adult leaders need to be doing what they have been trained to do. Safety being the key, but making sure that upholding the Scout Oath and Scout Law is the core values of all of it. And no matter what the problems are, that's the core. Handling parent conflicts. This can be problematic, but a lot of times it needs to be done away from the scouts. If you have a hallway outside of the youth meeting, that's great. You can go out there, take a deep breath, and listen. Think about the words that are being said. Take the emotions out of it, but just the words, the key words, and put those in your mind, and then repeat that back so you're actually hearing it. They know you're hearing because you're repeating back exactly what they said, minus all the emotions. Okay, if there are. That's something that scout leaders need to be able to do. This helps with every conflict. And I know it's hard, but you have to fight the urge of getting upset yourself. Just take out that emotion when you're hearing those words that are just needling you, okay? They're just gonna set you off somehow. No, just take them and put them aside. Listen to the words. The emotions are there. That's important. Emotions are. But you need to hear the words. Otherwise, you'll never solve the situation. You'll never solve what's really wrong. The emotional part, you're never going to solve that. That's for them to work out, okay? Don't get caught up in that. Sometimes you just need to step back and explain how the scouting model works, how youth-led units work, how the youth take care of youth issues. The adults are there for safety, and for mentoring and coaching. So that's something that a lot of parents don't get right away, especially new parents. Over time, they will understand, but they have these issues and they need to talk to somebody. And being a scout leader, that's probably one of the hardest jobs, is dealing with conflict resolution, dealing with problems, dealing with concerns. That is one of the hard jobs that adult leaders do. We do a lot for our kids, so always keep that in mind. This is a huge thing. Never argue in front of the scouts. This will lose the credibility of the adult leadership. It's important that you step away. Go handle it privately, okay? That's the important bit with adults. When adults are having a disagreement, an argument, an issue, that needs to be taken away or out of the eyesight, earshot of all the scouts. So important. You have to set the example. Be the cool head in the room that actually can work the issue instead of getting all emotional, okay? That needs to be taken out. You know, you can, like they said in Apollo 13, you bounce off the walls and right back where you are. You got to handle the issue. That's the big thing. And the scouts don't need to see that issue because it's not necessarily your reaction or what you say. It might be what the other adult is saying. That's a problem. So arguments should be away from scouts' eyes and ears. All units have disagreements and problems, but how you handle them will make you stronger. It's so important that you actively listen to the issue, that you think about the things without getting emotional, and you're able to take that information and act on it so that you can actually solve the problem, or at least come to a common resolution that both parties in that issue are agreeable to. Focusing in on the solution is critical to a successful resolving of the issue. In addition, you want to make sure that you're using your Scout Oath and Scout Law so that helps you towards that goal. Scouters get it. We get it. That's the thing. If we can do those things, we can resolve most issues. Now, we work with our scouts and our parents and our leaders, and we do such great jobs of keeping everybody involved and really helping the scouts succeed. We're building a better America, one scout at a time. And as long as we keep that focus and make sure that we actively listen and we think about the problem and we use the Scout Oath and Scout Law to kind of fix that problem, both parties will be happy and your unit will actually get stronger. It sounds amazing. If you have an issue and don't work on it, it makes the whole unit crumble. If you have an issue and you work on it and you come with a resolution that's based on the Scout Law, your unit will be 10 times stronger. It's Mom always said that scar tissue is stronger than your regular skin. So that's just the way, it happens. Okay. So, but keep up that good hard work. And I really appreciate watching these videos. That's a wonderful thing. And if you're interested, I do have a video about youth leaders going from being a youth leader into becoming an adult leader. And it happens. It does. And it's a wonderful transition, that process. So check out the video right there. And I will see you on the trail.